Welcome to Mother's Haven, a podcast where mothers are challenged to try for more through access to help, hope, and a pathway to healing. Every mother goes through various phases and seasons where they daily navigate distress, discomfort, and wholesome experiences. I have personally walked the path of various pain points and experienced certain life changing situations in my own journey, which actually brings me here to offer you a hand to help, a voice of hope, and a pathway to healing. Each time you listen, a rush of liberation comes through because I'm here to validate your freedom and also to challenge you to be a mother and much more. Welcome to yet another amazing episode on Mother's Haven podcast. It's gonna be an explosive time out today because we have a unique guest in the house, someone that you would really enjoy listening to, and with so much information, wisdom, and knowledge to share. So she'll be telling us about herself in a second, and I'm sure you'll be pleased to meet her. So, our wonderful guest, please tell us about you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Topi, for inviting me to this podcast. I'm quite excited and quite nervous as well because this is my first time to do something like this. But I am very grateful that I've been invited to this program. My name is Angeli. I live in the UK, but I originally came from the Philippines. But when I was 24, because of my job during that time as an accountant, I managed to get myself across to Europe to work in the financial services industry. So that's how I found myself in Sheffield, where I live now. My superpower is that I can learn anything that I put my mind into, and this is something that I will be talking about later on during this podcast. I'm one of those people who are lucky enough to spend my working hours doing something that I totally enjoy, working with people who are the embodiment of excellence and passion for their craft, on a product that seeks to help find vaccines and medicines that would eradicate diseases and make this world a better place. But that didn't happen overnight, and this is something I'm going to talk to you about later on. Other than my passion for my job, I am also a mother of a very, very active 8-year-old who happens to be or who dreams of becoming the next football star. So the stuff that I enjoy doing includes taking photos for him and his team whenever they play football, and then always shouting on the sidelines, being the football mommy that I am, getting stressed out all the time, and then cheering out every time they score, stuff like that. And I also like writing. So when I was at university, I used to be the editor of a school publication. So I still write. I still write blogs whenever I have the time, and I also enjoy sharing my knowledge and experience to other people. I work as a team manager, so I mentor people in my team, and I try to share with them and impart with them the knowledge that I have acquired through my experiences. Yeah, so that's me, and nice to meet you all.
Wow, amazing, amazing. I said it. You're absolutely awesome, and
Oh,
it
thank you.
shows from your journey so far, the life of impact that you live, and how much you're able to do part time and per season. So we are honored and we appreciate your time with us
Thank
at
you.
Mother's Haven Podcast. All right, so let's get into it. So today I'll be asking you about what drives you, because from the things that you have told us, I can, from things that you have told us, I could see that you're able to cross careers, you're able
Hmm.
to do so much, and that's because you also said while introducing yourself that you could do whatever you set your mind to
Yes,
do and
definitely.
learn at a very fast pace as well. So
Yeah.
what really drives you to be able to do all of these things? And I know that for even you to set your mind to do things, you have to
Hmm.
be intentional about it. So that means you're putting a certain level of intentionality in anything that you desire to do or pursue. So I would like to know the secret. What drives you? What bets that intentionality that you have?
Definitely, and thank you for that question. Well, I have to be quite honest. When I was younger, I was very very good. I was a very good student academically. I like getting good grades, so I always did the extra mile. And then when I started my career, obviously when I got married and have family, obviously family came before anything else. But when after I had my child, I had this thought that I wanted to tell him that he could be anything he wanted to be. So in order for him to get that message, I wanted to show him that yes, you can be anything you want to be, because your mommy can do everything that she can be who she wanted to be despite being a mother. So, motherhood has not stopped her from pursuing whatever she desires out of her life. So I think it started from that, and plus from the fact that when my little boy was 4 years old, he was spotted by a football academy coach in a summer camp, and then he was invited to train for a development squad in the local team. So, football in England is a big thing, and if you get spotted, that means you have potential. So I don't really know much about football, but my little boy, he's so obsessed like everyone else. And as a parent, you want to try to give your child as much chance as possible, as much opportunities to pursue their dreams. Although, as parents, we are quite aware that the chances of him ever making to becoming a professional football is really, really slim, like 0.025%. But I also wanted, to give him that opportunity, to give him the chance to at least at least play as long as he enjoys it. So because of that, I started reading a lot of books on how to help children succeed. And by reading these books, I managed to apply them to my own personal development, because before, I was happy enough to be I wasn't a stay-at-home mommy. I was also working, but the kind of job that I was working was not something I was passionate about. But then so I started reading books with the intention of, helping my child get the best in life and becoming a better parent and whatnot. And by reading these books, it also became applicable to my own personal development. And then there was this really important book that I read in the middle of all this. And this was a book written by Carol Dweck called Mindset. I know it's been mentioned quite a lot by different people, because it is a very, very important book. And if I have read it whilst I was younger, probably my path to success would have been easier, but then I wouldn't have learned from the experiences that eventually allowed me to grow. So this book has told me that if parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing they can do is to teach their children to love challenges, to be intrigued by mistakes, and to enjoy effort and keep on learning. Because true confidence is the courage to be open, to welcome change and new ideas regardless of their source. So from this very, very important book, I have learned to embrace mistakes. I've learned that, because when I was younger, I was always a bit scared of, making a mistake, making my parents disappointed. Um, but after reading this book, I realized, oh, it's okay to make a mistake. So I started to want to fail fast and often, and then learn from them. And then I told everybody that I know, everybody in my circle of influence, how much this new insight has helped me gain so much from, the failure that we have, the mistakes that we make. They help us gain wisdom and help us to get better at something. and helps us grow. So because of that, I have learned to approach every day with a mindset that, what mistake do I make today? And then that gets me excited. And I also encourage my child to do the same, because by telling him that, it's okay to make a mistake, I'm helping him have that growth mindset. To embrace this, to teach him that it's okay not to be, always good, because you can't always be good, but it's okay if you learn from that. And I suppose, in that way, that's helped me gain so much wisdom. I hope that answered your question.
All that you said so consciously.
Oh.
Honestly, you said so much important information, and I love the nuggets that you picked from the book
Hmm.
mindset, and how it's important that we should embrace new challenges, we should embrace mistakes, because
Hmm.
I see that I'm from the African background, and we are brought up to avoid mistakes.
Yeah.
But this tells us that it's important to actually
Mhm.
embrace it so you can learn from it and even
Yeah.
learn faster from it. And I
Yeah.
love how you said if you had even known this growing up, you would have been able to achieve a pace faster. You will have been able to do things much more easier because you will have learned earlier.
Yeah.
So just all of those are really, really, really powerful nuggets and powerful things that we need to learn even as adults and also imbibe in our children. Absolutely. And I love how your drive to help your son succeed at football and encourage him also helped you to start reading books, because
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
I know that yes, that not many people would actually turn to books
Yeah.
for support in times like this. But I could now see how well it has also helped you to become better, to grow, and to
Hmm.
advance as well. So it's really, really amazing. I'm also inspired listening to you. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
So
Thank
that
you.
brings us to my next question. Since you've talked about your son and the extent you had to go to ensuring that he gets the very best. So what's the secret? What helps you to be an exceptional mother? Because from the tips you've given us, from the secrets, from the lessons you've learned from books, it already shows how well you're giving him a solid foundation, how well you're ensuring that he is also intentional about his actions and passion. So what's the secret? What helps you to stay exceptional as a mother?
I wouldn't really call myself exceptional, although I do try to do my best, to make sure that my child is ready to face the challenges that gets thrown at him by life. But what I do is, like I said, I read a lot. So I read a lot of books. I go on parenting classes, because parenting is not something that is inherent in us. You have to learn it. You have to learn it from people with experience. You can't just say, just because you're a mother, you know how to be a mother. It's something that you learn. It's a constant learning process. And if going to a parenting class will help you become a better parent, then go for it. And I have. And then, so I speak to other parents to learn about how they deal with their growing up children. And it's always nice, to share your experiences with others, because they are probably feeling the same burdens. They're probably facing different the same experiences. Particularly, I think I remember during the pandemic, and we were all in lockdown, and the kids were getting so frustrated at home, and they started behaving very, very badly, because what can you expect when a child is locked up inside the house? No, and as an adult, you don't like it, so how much more about the children? So my child started getting a little bit naughty. So I found a lot of comfort talking to other parents who were also going through the same thing, and I found that it helped me a lot, sharing my experiences. And talking to people who know more than me, my mother-in-law, my own mother. And then so I just try to do a better job every day. But it's still a struggle. Regardless of how many books I read, I still struggle to do the execution because you think of your. Sometimes I forget that my child is only 8 years old. Sometimes I treat him like an adult. I get told off for that. But you just try to get. I just try to get better. And I learn from my mistakes. So I even encourage my child, if, for example, he thinks he's got a perceived injustice that mommy wasn't being fair. So I allow him to voice out his frustration, and then I apologize to him and tell him that, mommy also makes mistakes, mommy also learns, but mommy will try to get better. But that means that if you have also made a mistake, then you can say sorry for it as well, and you can also learn from it, and we can both become better together, and we both move on from that. By letting him know that it's okay to make mistakes, I think we're encouraging him to embrace learning and self-reflection, and eventually to gain wisdom from that. And I also try, personally, I also try to be a little bit more self-aware about my weaknesses and the inherent biases that I have, because obviously my insights and my outlooks in life are based on the culture I have been brought up to, and the places I have lived in, and the experiences that I've had in life. So my own perception are very limited to my own experiences. So I try to be a little bit more self-aware before I judge situation or people, because they are not me, so they won't be behaving the same way I expect to behave. So, for example, I know that I am not very good at dealing with confrontations, but because I am a manager, I have to talk to my staff or to my direct reports to let them know about things that they need to improve on, or things that they are not doing at work. So, because I am aware that I have weakness in confrontations, I studied everything I could to constructively tackle this negative behavior. So I was reading books about management, and then I was watching online learning courses in this platform called Pluralsight that the tech companies have, about soft skills. How do I improve myself? How do I talk to somebody in a way that he would not feel attacked, so that we can both work together on how to tackle the problem that we have that is creating problems in the team. So I think by arming myself with knowledge and skills to before going into that situation, it has given me a lot of confidence to tackle it. So now I can confidently say that confrontation is no longer something I am that something that is a weakness. But that means I'm still constantly trying to figure out or trying to find where am I lacking, which skills do I need to improve on. So I think the secret to this intention being, well, I wouldn't call myself an exceptional mother, but I think the secret of being a better mother, and being an intentional person, is to not be afraid to make mistakes, to acknowledge that we have weaknesses, and to proactively seek to improve ourselves. And like I said, our response to failure should always be to learn, to adapt, to grow, and innovate, because there is so much more to learn, and that's what makes life exciting. That's it.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. I love how you said the secret is most likely gaining knowledge and being intentional about it. And that's very, very true. I
Mhm.
love how you kept talking about reading books. But if I were to ask you, do you ever experience fear when it comes to developing yourself? Because you spoke about confidence.
Yeah.
So what do you does it come naturally to you, or have you had to fight the fear, or does your self-awareness, because you also spoke about self-awareness and
Mm-hmm.
how it's important that every woman must know herself, everyone must know themselves as much as possible. So for you, does it come naturally to you, or over time you have built yourself, you have trained yourself to be able to face life, to be able to gain this knowledge, apply it, and intentionally execute, just as you said?
Yeah, so I think, it depends. Like, so for example, I learned programming from scratch. So that is something that that was very easy for me to learn. I was very surprised at how easy it was for me because I was a trained accountant. I qualified as an accountant. Um, and then I had to find a different to work in a different industry because I couldn't get a job in the field that I have trained in. So I started looking at programming, and I was very, very surprised at how easy it was for me to jump from one industry, from one career to another. That wasn't difficult at all. But the difficult thing was how to handle people, how to deal with confrontation, because I came from an Asian culture where you have to always be respectful to your elders, and then we don't deal with confrontation that well, so we try to avoid it. So either we just shout at people or we just completely flee from them, kind of business. But if you are in a work environment, especially when you're a manager, you have to manage people, you have to manage what you call that, you have to be able to work with people even if they are very difficult. So that part of my job was something I wasn't very confident in. So I was talking to my own line manager saying, "No, I'm really, really struggling with this. I don't know how to deal with it." So but my manager was like, he wasn't really particularly telling me how to do things, just says like, you just get on with it. So that's when I started thinking there must be a way. I must be able to what so I must be able to do this. And that's how I came, I started looking online and looking for people who've had the same experiences, because I really wanted to overcome that 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 scaredness from within me of talking to people, to tell them off, to tell them off in a productive, constructive way. Because I felt like either I could just shout at them and tell them, like, the Asian way, to shout at them saying you're not doing it right, but that would break down the relationship. So yes, it was something I that was difficult for me. It was something that I had to really, really pursue, to overcome the weakness of confrontation, and that wasn't easy. But there are some stuff that are easy to learn. Like, I do some painting, and that was something that I just watched from YouTube. So I can paint in canvas, I can paint watercolor. I learn all that just from watching YouTube videos. So there are things that come naturally to me, and then there are things that you just have to get on with, but you have to. So yeah.
Wow. I know how you have so many expressions already from exploring, because that's the truth. We really never know how much we have on our inside until we
Mhm.
attempt to actually do it, until we intentionally begin to do it, and then we now begin to see how much we love it. And also, just like you said, for some things we have to learn
Mhm.
how you had to change, transition from accounting into programming, and you ended up loving it. So
Yes,
it's actually
definitely.
important that we still try, we make the effort, we embrace the mistakes, even
Mhm.
before we even make it, and not being held back by the fear of it. Rather, going intentionally, audaciously to execute whatever we desire to. Wow, it's been an amazing conversation with you so far. I really, really love it. So, do
Oh,
you have any final words for our listeners? You have something that you would like to drop for the mothers out there, for the women out there, for moms to be, something that they could hold on to from you?
Yeah, so I think my message has always been like you've touched on it. Like I've mentioned even from my introduction that I have actually trained as an accountant. So when I was at university, I really liked solving problems. I like, finding different ways of solving something, and that's how I came into accounting, and I absolutely loved it. And so I was so gutted when I couldn't practice the profession, because I think sometime in 2010, and there was a financial crash, and I was already in the UK, and a lot of accountants, they lost their jobs. So we have to, to be creative about it. I had to be creative about it because I just got married. I was only 25 years old, and then suddenly I found myself without a job. And my husband was saying, well, some people find, you can swap careers in their 30s. So it doesn't mean that just because you've studied accounting, it doesn't mean you're going to be an accountant. It just meant that it was your stepping stone. So my additional message is that even if you've been on a different path, you can still go and find a, if even if you have been on a path already, you can still go and find a different path if it's something that you're interested in, and something that you think would make you happy. And I think that's what happened to me when I moved into programming. I wasn't happy with accounting. I was a bit bitter that I couldn't practice that profession. So it took me a long time to actually, look for something else. But when I started looking for something else, I looked into programming, and then I started reading about it. I started talking to uh, people who've had that experience of being in a different, of studying something different at university, and then finding themselves in programming. So I asked them, how do you become a programmer? Because I felt that it's a very good career. So I started talking to them. I started looking at online videos to teach myself. So I taught myself programming, um, and then I asked help from people who know, to guide me, and then eventually it just all came together. So that's a good thing about intentionality, is that you aspire for something, so you work hard for it, and then you try to find ways to get there, to get that knowledge, that skill set that you want, and there is that intent within you, so that burning desire. And that helps, because even if you feel like, oh, I can't do this anymore, but then you remember what is the reason why you were pursuing this in the first place. And that helps, so that definitely helps. So I guess my the bigger message I have is that like I was talking about, allowing yourself to make mistakes, to learn, to constantly, to embrace failure, to fail fast, um and to learn from your mistakes, and just to just accept that you can't be perfect all the time. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to veer off from the path you thought was the right one for you, because there could be a better path out there. um and that's from my own personal experience. So definitely, I mean, I didn't go through the accounting route, but I went into a different path. But I ended up still um in the same level of seniority, and probably even the same salary as the friends that I had, who went onto the straight path that was accountancy. And I think, because of my experience, that I have failed at some point, because of that failure, it has made me more, hungry for, to grasp, to learn, to get to the point where I wanted to be. And it has, greatly helped me, to have that intentionality. um yeah. So
Wow, wow. That's really explosive. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. All right. So if our listeners would like to reach out to you, would like to connect to you, how can they access you?
Yeah, so I'm also in Instagram, although I don't really, I haven't really been updating my account, but my Instagram account is Angeli Savas. Yeah, I think that's it. And I also have a blog account, so it's angelisavas.blogspot.com.
Amazing. Angeli Savas at blogspot.com. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. It's an honor to have you. We're super excited and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing from your heart and with so much authenticity. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here as well. That was a very good experience for me. And
Awesome.
I hope
Awesome.
I was able to convey my message.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us on this episode on Mother's Haven podcast. I believe you've had a life changing and liberating experience. To connect with us or reach out for support, we got you. Kindly send us a DM on Instagram at Mother's Haven or on mothershaven.com. Also, kindly hit the subscribe button to catch every new episode of our validating and inspiring content. Do also leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.